Hi guys, welcome to the Don't Talk to Me podcast. I'm Brad, this is Ashlyn and Craig.
Hello.
Hello.
Craig is filling in for Venus this week. V is feeling a bit under the weather. She has a migraine. She tried to get on, but she felt like shit. So we have Ashlyn's fiance instead. I mean, it's fine. We're not even going to talk about it. It's fine.
He'll do, we'll make do.
I'll be a fill-in.
We'll make do. Yeah, city girls make do. Today we're going to talk about a few things, the Amazon fires. We're going to update you on how my bed went, D&D. They have some stories from New Zealand. They went for a trip, their engagement party. We're going to talk about the cyberpunk gender news. We're going to talk about Taylor Swift's new album, which is fucking terrible, but stay tuned. Lizzo's tour in Australia, the Lizzie McGuire saying she's coming back, and then we're going to finish off with some roommate stories, some fucking terrors. So stay tuned. But yeah, these Amazon fires have been fucked up. Have you seen the pictures, Ash?
I've seen a couple floating around. It's actually awful. I try to sort of avoid them because they make me a bit sad, to be honest.
Well, yeah.
And feel like helpless about what we can do being so far away.
Well, it's the whole thing. The whole environmental crisis is like, oh, we actually have 17 months now, which I don't know. Look, I don't know if I believe that, that it went from 10 years to 17 months. I mean, I know that we're doing huge damage and we do have a time limit, but I don't know how much I do believe the theory of 17 months.
If it is, that's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
What's the 17 months?
So 17 months until we've done, it's like the stage of no return, where it'll be like a domino effect where the greenhouse gas will rip a hole in the ozone layer, which will let heat in, which will create more holes, and it'll just like fuck us over. Essentially, it will be the 6th mass extinction of Earth. Probably not the human race. Well, at least not affluent humans. In developing countries, we're probably going to be fine. But in less fortunate countries, they'll be fucked, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's essentially rich people are fucking us over.
What's new, It's just regular news day.
It's terrifying, though. It really is. Because it's like there's nothing we can do. And, we were told since we were kids that if we recycle and we turn the light off and we don't waste water, that we'll be fine. We make small changes and that'll be fine for the environment. But it's these huge corporations that are just pumping pollution directly into whales' mouths that they don't care. Yeah. And there's almost nothing we can do besides hoping our government does something instead of nothing. But, they do nothing. They absolutely do nothing because they know they're not going to be around for much longer, and they're literally just like cutting the head off the chicken and waiting for it to die. Like we're fucked.
Yeah, I don't like this whole. It's all down to the little people to use one less plastic bag and just use a bamboo toothbrush and that sort of thing. When really it's, I mean, yes, it's good to do that, but also these corporations are fucking us right over. So maybe they should be doing something with all their billions of dollars.
Nothing. But it's like it's not pollution, or even I think we think of pollution as like one issue. Plastic going into the ocean is a completely different issue than holes in the literal atmosphere that are warming the earth. Like, yes, plastic in the ocean is terrible. It's terrible, but that's not causing the ocean levels to rise. It's the melting ice caps. Like we're tricked into thinking that pollution in the sea is so terrible, but it's the actual pollution in the air that's fucking us over. Yes, it's terrible that animals are facing this, cruel death of suffocating on straws and bits of plastic, and fish are filled with batteries, and it's fucked up. It is fucked up, but Earth will not survive. Nothing will survive if we keep fucking it up. You know what I mean? Like there's bigger fish to fry.
For sure, yeah. Air pollution is definitely a big one.
Craig, any comments, thoughts, ideas?
Oh, well, I mean, I think as a whole we're very consumer driven.
Yes.
So that leads to a lot of waste. It's pretty interesting finding of was it New Zealand that China wasn't taking our rubbish anymore, so was Australia.
Both.
And everything that we had recycled for the past, since we've been recycling, was just getting put into one heap
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
it left New Zealand.
Yeah, they were just burning it. They were just taking it to
They were
China and
taking it
burning
to
it
China
anyway.
and burning it. Yeah, where they don't have the sanctions.
Yep.
It's very depressing,
But,
and I'm extremely burnt out. And I'm like, well, why would I bother going to uni if we're all just gonna die and be?
We're all gonna die anyway.
Well, it's just like I'm facing this huge ego death because I feel so powerless, and I'm just hoping that it's like. Do you remember when the rumors of 2012, the Mayan apocalypse? Do you remember how
Yes.
listless you felt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is exactly how I
Wait,
feel now.
What?
The
Really?
apocalypse. The world was gonna end in 2012.
Yeah, but I've lived through multiple apocalypses and nothing's
Oh, like the
happened.
Y2K.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was Y2K.
I was Y2 years old when Y2K happened, so I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know what was I like 8.
The scariest thing, years ago when we had the Y2K bug, we were in the library and we changed the clock over to the PC that was in the library, and it failed to boot the next time it started. But it was an actual CMOS battery error. But it scared the shit out of us.
Here it comes, the computer virus.
It was scary. We thought we were so badass doing it to the librarian computer.
Do you remember the 6th of the 6th, 2006? That was a big one as well. I do remember that one.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of numbers in that.
Yeah, that was
How do I
because
not
the name
remember
of it was the number of the beast, and that's when the rapture was going to happen. I'm like, well, why didn't it happen?
Wasn't
in
that when the
1996?
11th of the 11th of the 11th?
Yeah, people are big into numbers.
Yeah.
I've noticed, but this is like, I don't know. I feel like I'm being told to doubt scientists more and more.
Yeah, but with this Amazon burning,
Yes.
right? So it's burning because they're clearing land, and they're clearing land because they want to produce, was it palm oil?
Beef.
Cows.
Was cows. They want to put it down. So who wants the beef?
All of us.
People.
Which is
It's their
people.
main export, yeah.
So the problem is everyone. It's a vicious cycle
Supply and
of when we work over and do all the spraying. We worked on a corn farm. We're doing all the air spraying for the corn, and the farmer was ripping into us about not being able to do it because of the weather. And one of the issues was the farmer had been demanded by Coles for 500,000 corn cobs by the end of the week.
Fuck.
And the farmer was like, I have to get this sprayed, so we have to get this out, because Coles said we need it, and if we don't supply it, then they're going to drop us from the contract. So it's ultimately the people that, what do you call it, the demand.
I mean, it's Coles. I think we could do without, if Coles was like, oh, we don't have any corn, I think people would fucking survive.
Yeah.
But Coles doesn't want to do
But
that.
it's above that, it's the people that go into it's whose Coles supplies
Supply and
people with
demand.
food.
The
or
Karens of the
supermarket.
world.
But
They want the corn.
Essentially, the not sure if it's a prime minister of Brazil. He essentially
Yeah, he's blocking it, isn't he? Or he's blocking
so
outside.
it was
influence.
his idea to utilize. So the indigenous people of Brazil own a lot of that land; they have rights to it, and that was decided a long time ago. And the president essentially decided, he was like, oh, we should use that land. They should be open to clearing that land to make money. And the indigenous people were like, well, why? We have no use for that. Why would we bother? And essentially they won a court case that protected them from miners, that would stop the deforestation of hectares of land. And
Miners.
yeah,
What are they mining?
so their huge industry is mining and agriculture.
Right.
And they're I think it's fracking. I think they're actually fracking there.
Oh yeah.
But they essentially they won the court case, and then suddenly these fires spread up. So the idea is that what we think is it has been deliberately lit, but nobody's owned up to it yet as of today. But if it has been, and it's fucked up, people are like essentially calling for heads to roll. But a few days ago, the chief of an indigenous tribe was killed by a miner. By these one of these. So essentially, miners have been coming in and being more and more violent because they want the area, and trying to scare these tribes off. And they come in dressed as military people, and they have guns and they have explosives, and they come in, and essentially one or more leaders of this tribe in Brazil has been killed. He was stabbed to death by these miners. They're not the military. They're not the police. They're a company who has come in and committed a crime, and they're not being penalized.
It's just awful. Absolutely awful.
It's capitalism gone fucking wild. It's fascism at this point. There is such a huge oligarchy on the world, not just like a small country. Like, we think about these things happening in, Cuba. Like, you think of these things where there's a huge amount of power in a very few amount of people, but it's every country in the world. Every single country. Every country. It's so fucked up. But I'm a communist a little bit. Actually, no, I'm not communist even a little bit. I don't think it works. It doesn't take into consideration human selfishness, and that's always going to be a thing. But I just don't think there's a way in which humans can live and thrive together. I think like I'm so ego death. I used to be like, we can live together and like harmony.
Peace and love.
Exactly. But there's no peace and love when you're being forced off your land. So some company can make more money off you. There's nothing there. There's no humans there.
To greed and money.
Yeah, it's fucked up. But yeah, before I get too depressed, I think
switch it up.
I am glad we're depressed. I'm glad that we see this and we think it's fucked up, and we're not just okay with it happening, because that means there's going to be some resistance when it comes down to it.
That's true.
But finishing off, it's fucked up that Australia has not helped. That ScoMo says that we're not helping. He's decided, the Prime Minister of Australia has decided we're not helping. We're going to leave it to Brazil, because Brazil, they're just... no, anyways.
Yeah, good plan.
Our government isn't shit, and he should go to jail. But, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I've had kind of a fucked up week. My bed broke, and so I spent like a few days on the ground, so my back is fucked now. But I spoke on the
So wait, how did it break?
So I sat down on it, and the actual slats, you know how the slats rest on that bit of wood that's nailed to the...
Yeah, in the middle.
Yeah. So that's snapped in 3 places. But they...
in 3 places?
3 places, yeah.
What, did it break once? Did you get on it again? And how did it break in 3
because
places?
Because it was nailed in, it just snapped and spun around. So it was just the best of both worlds. But I essentially got my old bed, which had a problem where the slats would fall out. Like, nothing was broken, just the slats would fall out. So I got my mattress from my king single, which is broken now, and put it underneath so the slats rest on top of it. It's pretty genius. I was gonna do some woodwork and put a central support in, so they wouldn't slip out, but I was just like, if there's enough tension, they shouldn't slide anyway. So now I saved myself a bunch of money, and now I have a bigger bed, so happy about it.
Fancy humble queen. Beautiful. How's your laptop?
Oh yeah, I opened it up totally fine. The fan was filled with sawdust.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I had to...
What have you been doing with sawdust?
His laptop was under his bed when it broke.
Under my bed when it broke, yeah.
Hit the laptop. He was too scared to open it.
I was way too scared for a week to open it. But yeah, I finished that, and then that night we played D&D. So our D&D
How
group...
did that go?
Our D&D group, there's 6 of us. 8 with you guys, but you guys decided to work.
For these 6, Brad.
Yeah, decided to have to go to work. I'm so sorry about it.
Yeah, you should be. But they So essentially, we were meant to die in the first encounter, or we were meant to get like wiped in the first encounter, and because we didn't, like we won. We got like 6 nat 20s. Cabbage had
What's a net?
So you
Nat
roll
20?
to hit someone, and you roll for damage. So when we were rolling to hit people, we hit them every time, instead of missing. So we hit all of our attacks hit. And he was planning on us failing a few of those throws and getting overwhelmed, but we didn't, and so he had to cut the session down from 4 hours to half an hour. So I only got one spell in because I'm a wizard. I got one spell in and it did 1 damage. It was bad. I rolled really poorly.
It's a bit of a fizzle.
Yeah, exactly. I rolled really high, but I used Cone of Cold, which is 1d8. So you roll an 8-sided dice. And it did 1 damage. And so Cabbage was like, yeah, his nipples get hard and he notices like it's a bit chilly, but that's it. But yeah.
Wait, was it like a cold
Yeah, so it's
spell
like
or
a
something?
spell that does ice damage.
Like Mr. Freeze?
Like Mr. Freeze, exactly, in an area. So anybody in that circle gets attacked. I think that's a spell. And I did really fucking poorly, but everyone else, like V was doing amazing, Noli was doing amazing, Tinksy was doing amazing. Like, they all did really well. I did pretty poorly, but yeah, we had to cut it down. We ruined his day.
Oh, poor Cabbage. I can just imagine him sitting there
much
and he's like, why? You guys suck.
Is it much like? Did you yell out your spell?
No, God, no.
when you
We're
were
not like
casting it, or-
over the top about it.
Oh,
Wait,
Craig is disappointed.
I thought you'd be like, Zap or
abracadoodles.
Freeze or something,
Craig wants accents.
Or you said, tonight, a freeze is coming.
Lovely, thank you very much. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. By technical difficulties, I mean I had shit. So we were talking about D&D.
Yes,
And
that
the
got ruined.
fact that
And the lack of role-playing.
we destroyed, yeah.
And your OP characters.
Yes. Well, they're not OP at all. It was just that I think because there's 6 of us, I don't think Cab knew to level us properly, like to like make it fair or make it hard. I think he didn't want to like make it too hard, so that we didn't die. Just we got hurt enough for them to rob us. Yeah. So we destroyed his soul. And he was like, I don't know what to do, because he was on Discord with you, Ashlyn, wasn't he?
Yeah, he came on. I got home at a reasonable hour after work. Still too late to play D&D, but I got on and then I was like, oh, I'm going to play some Apex. And then Cabbage was like, Apex? And I was like, wait, aren't you D&Ding like all night? And he's like, yeah, that lasted all of half an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no.
An hour if you include all the setup. There was
that's
so
true.
much setup. Oh, God.
Half an hour sit up, half an hour play.
Yeah, exactly.
Cabbage.
Yeah, it's fun. I really like D&D. And now my roommates want to do D&D with me in real life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I will be running 2 concurrent games. Hopefully that won't get confusing. And hopefully I don't get bored with being a witch, because I'm super into it.
You're using the same character?
Maybe I might be a priest or a cleric in real life one, just so I can heal everyone, because I know basically what I'm doing ish, and they're all new. But yeah, that's pretty much my idea so far. Craig, are you going to be D&Ding with us?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not, because I don't know when I'm available.
That's fair with the new job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of a new job, you got some news while you're in New Zealand. But you also got home invaders. People sniffing around your dick.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week, how you chased them off. So
that's
what actually fucking happened?
Well, we've had them around the house before.
Not the same
and
people.
No, not the same people. Well, punks,
Punks.
probably.
Youths.
Yeah.
Youths.
And we did catch them.
Yeah.
Um,
Ashlyn told
what's
me.
that?
Ashlyn
Yeah,
told me.
good.
Yeah.
But this time we were. What was I doing? We're just sitting at the dinner table. I was talking with the grandparents, catching up with them, and I was doing quite a bit of work over in the sheds earlier in the day, and I thought I'd go over there and lock up all the sheds for the night
Yep.
because that's what we do. And went out to the laundry, turned the light on, opened the door, and then noticed the tap was on and water was coming out of it.
So they were trying to lure you out.
Oh no, I think maybe someone was getting a drink or something, because the tap had just been turned on, and when I went to turn it off, there was no puddle. Like, it hadn't been going on for a long time, and it was quite a few rotations to turn it off, because I thought maybe a pump had switched on,
Right.
and started pumping water. But we've got cameras all around the house, but I haven't checked those for a long time, so I did the logical thing and went back inside, told Nana and Granddad that there's possibly people around the house, and Granddad's quite good. We've actually got a stick, or a baton, so to speak, that we used in the riots in Wellington. One of our family members beating hippies up.
It's a nice heirloom for the kids.
Riots. Just a nice heirloom, like it's well worn. And Granny gave me that, and I rang up my sister's partner, and her boyfriend came up within about 5 minutes, and we just started the hunt again. Unfortunately, we didn't find anyone this time.
Did you check the cameras afterwards?
Oh no, couldn't be bothered.
But that could have been such an epic conclusion.
Oh well, I'm trying to work out how I can remote view them from home, but they're not IP cameras.
Right.
So they are just, there was a blob of white that showed up during the night. But no, I was a bit upset we didn't actually find them. I was pissed off about that.
They're the kind of cameras that you look at and you know, they're like the videos on the internet where there's like, if you look for long enough, there'll be a ghost in it. And the ones that you just stare at and then it jumps out at you.
I think someone's getting a drink just behind that creepy Japanese little girl ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's just crawled out of the well.
Exactly.
But
Samara.
Oh shit! We were putting up. My sister does quite a bit of the work around the house now since I'm over in Australia, and we went up to run some Cat5 cable through the ceiling just before I left, which we could have actually checked the cameras in. But anyway, while she was up there, I gave her the option to do it because I was like, hey, look, because she's a girl and she should be able to do anything. So I said, look, you lug all this wire through the roof. I can't be bothered getting up there.
Yeah, that's the real reason.
And she was halfway up there, and I told her to watch out for the old lady in the dark.
Oh.
And while
So
she
mean.
was up there,
Great.
it was so good. But it's horrible because when you're in the roof and you look into the darkness of the roof,
This is
the
all-consuming.
torch doesn't show you all the way down.
Yeah.
It just shows you to the point where the torch just runs out.
Yeah.
So,
That's so fucked up.
Yeah, no,
That's so fucked up. You're such an asshole.
I know. It was
Such a
quite-
dick.
it was-
Speaking
it
of
was so funny.
spooky stories,
Ooh, spooky stories. We did a poll, didn't we, Ashlyn?
Oh my gosh, you did.
Yeah. Overwhelming
excited.
6 people. Overwhelming people said they wanted to hear spooky stories.
so
And we
overwhelming. In
thought,
fact, it was 100% positive approval.
it's 100% of 6
So
people.
who was the one person that wanted it?
We don't need to know how many people.
It was my mum. It was my mum. But it was an overwhelming majority wanted to hear spooky stories. So Ashlyn and I thought, since Craig was a special guest, that we would let him tell some pretty spooky stories. He has a pretty good one. I've heard this one before. Ashlyn obviously has as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take it away, BB.
Well, there's probably two that stand out. One is when I was younger, He used to play games all the time for all hours of the night. Well, I still do. But this is going to college. Anyway, one night I was playing Counter-Strike, I think it was. And it'd be about 10, 11 o'clock. And the office door was slightly ajar. And my grandfather poked his head in and said to go to bed. And I was a bit pissed off because I was raging a bit, getting killed in
Game
Counter-Strike. So I kind of wasn't paying attention to my grandfather. I was still focused on the game, but I saw him out of the corner of my eye and I said, oh, listen, I'm going to bed soon. Just leave one more game. And he went to bed, turned off the lights and whatnot. I continued to play for a little bit longer. He then poked his head back through and didn't say anything. And I just said, I'm going to bed, Granite. I'll be back soon. And then it happened a third time. Very quick, close proximity to the second time, and I just reached over. It completely ignored the please do not shut off your computer and powered it straight out of the wall. And opened the door expecting to see poor Grandad there, and only heard Grandad snoring up the hall, and figured I had just been talking to someone that had been standing in the doorway. The last 2 times, because I could hear Nan and Grandad snoring up the hall. And I didn't put, this is creepy. I was like, there's someone in the house.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this must be just someone. Anyway, probably a few months later, it was a Friday.
A home invader that's just now very confused. Like, okay, you're going to bed. I'm robbing you.
I'm like, piss off! I'm playing another game.
They're like,
you're
unplugging your computer
angry.
for me too. That's great. Thanks. If you can put it in
Right,
his bag.
I was just pissed off, I was just pissed off. But it kind of obviously freaked me out a bit. And then a while later, it was a Friday afternoon. Nana and Granny used to go shopping on a Friday afternoon. I would stay back and play. What was I playing? World of Warcraft. That's what it was.
As you do.
And as I was going through the game, I had the door open in the office. It was a sunny day, about 5 o'clock at night, and saw Nan walk through the kitchen, and I yelled out to her to ask her if she got some ice cream, and she didn't say anything, so I just continued playing. Saw her again, walk past the door and ask her, just in case she didn't hear me, because when you're an entitled child that wants ice cream.
You really want the fucking ice cream.
And then walked out to the lounge and saw Nana and Grandad driving up the drive.
Oh,
coming
fuck
in.
that.
And that's when I was like, what the fuck?
That gives me a
just
chill
happened?
up my spine.
It's a big old no.
I'm to the point.
I was like,
So
I saw her walk past. Like, I saw the person go into the kitchen. I was like, oh, it's Nan's home.
There is nothing scarier. There is nothing scarier. Like, I literally, I'm sitting at a desk that faces like an open space behind me, and I've had to turn my chair around because I'm so scared that something's going to be behind me. Oh, fuck. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
But the design of the house, like, it's not a very, built in like the 90s, but you can slam doors at one part of the house and other doors will either open, like fully open.
It's like a vacuum.
It's just a massive design fault in the
Does
doors.
do that a
It's
lot.
really weird. The other story that stands out, this happened probably about a year or so ago. My sister and I, we run a paintball field, and we're relatively well known in the community. And we had just had a game. It was a Saturday and it was starting to pour with rain. And I dropped off one of our staff up the road. There's a country road and he lives in a little lane there. I dropped him off, and then as I was coming home, I passed a place called Honeywood. And Honeywood is it's an area where there are very old houses all kind of up in the bush and in the hills.
Sounds like an old rich people place.
No. It's like old rundown cottages.
Oh.
Like, it was like, I guess when people first moved into the area in our region, or our little area, that's where they kind of set up shop. There is I believe it or not, there is a cottage that sits atop of a lake. A little
like an
man-made
island?
lake. It's on stilts. Yeah, it's on like
That's
stilts.
awesome.
Half out into the lake. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
But anyway, it's called Honeywood, and it's very old little cottages there. And as I was driving down the road, I saw a lady in, I remember it was a white lace
Wait,
dress, but it wasn't.
wasn't it also raining?
It was pouring
Oh,
rain,
it's
Oh.
always a white
and I
lace
saw
dress.
her, like I saw her in a white lace dress, but it wasn't like it was just a lady. It was just a really well dressed lady that was walking there, and I didn't think anything of it because the type of people that live here are, the arty aunts
Hippies.
who are, hippies. Yeah, they're like, they're just, that's what they look like. So I assumed that she must be renting there, and she was walking into town, and I pulled over and picked her up, and she, brunette lady, I don't know, 60 years old. She was an older woman, and I asked her if she needed a lift into town. She said, she was just going down the road. And she asked me how Vicky was, my sister. And I was like, yeah, she's fine. And then she asked how I was. So I assumed that maybe she's lived in the area for a while. And she
Like
knew,
a family friend.
yeah, of us, but we had never met her before.
It's a small town, so
Um,
not out of the realms of
Yeah, it's a
possibility.
small town. So I was like, oh, okay, we're doing well, da da da. And I ended up driving up to our house, and she said, I can just get out here, because she knew where I lived. So I was like, cool.
She knew where you lived.
Well, she
Oh,
knew
God.
that I was going. I said I was just going around the corner, and that's where I am. And I let her out, and then drove up the drive, and all my family was sitting up at the dinner table, and they were confused because Nan reckoned she had already got the mail from the letterbox, and why did I stop at the letterbox?
Ugh.
And I was like, I met this woman. She knew who we were. I described her, and they were puzzled because they had seen my car stop and just sit at the foot of the drive,
Ugh.
and no one else was there.
No.
And so they were like, "Who the hell were you talking? Why were you stuck down there for such a long time?" So they didn't see the woman, and we couldn't see the woman because with the way our road is, there's a kilometre on either side.
Yeah.
She wasn't there. She just wasn't there.
So there's a ghost who knows who you are, who knows everything about you. Do you
Seems
think
safe.
she's the old woman who lives in the shadows?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, but like, how else would she know? Like,
Maybe
how
she's
else...
the one that was sticking her head through your door and was like, good bit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. I mean, she could be.
But I tell you what, Nana's mum used to read quite heavily into tarot cards, so that was quite
As
an
do I.
interesting family history.
Mm-hmm.
And mum and the sisters have had weird dreams about certain things occurring. And I remember when one day my sister thought I was in a motorbike accident, and when I went back to New Zealand,
You told me.
we were involved in a motorbike accident. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh,
So
spooky.
creepy.
I don't know.
Bruh.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of those. Like, I've had... So it's not really... my nan has the same things, but we get premonitions. And they're never anything fun. They're usually just like 3 or 4 seconds of context, like context-less things. Like I'll be able to smell what I'm smelling and see what I'm seeing and hear what I'm hearing and think what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But it's not like a science. There's no like, I had a vision that you died. Like, it's like, I had a vision I was washing dishes and I heard someone mention, it's so sad what happened to blah, blah, blah. Like, it's never anything like, oh, they're going to die in big bolded letters. It's like, this is, like one time, I was a kid, because I've had them ever since I was like 2 or 3. And we were, I didn't know this, but my family was planning a surprise trip for my birthday to go to Queensland. And I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast, but my father was quite estranged from his father. And so we never saw him. I saw him maybe 10 times in my entire life before he passed away last year. He was nice. He was great. But him and my dad just didn't see each other very much. and I had a dream that I saw him in my dad's driveway talking to us about a place in Queensland. I forget where it was, but it was where we specifically were going to go. But I hadn't been told about the trip yet because it was a surprise for my birthday. And I had a dream that my grandfather said the words, "So where are you going in Queensland?"
Weird.
And then my dad replied, and we were standing, it was me, my stepmom, my dad, and then my grandfather all in a circle. And the next day I went to my dad's house because I used to see him every Wednesday through Friday. It was the divorce agreement. And so I went there, and I went outside and I saw this car pull up. And my grandfather didn't really drive because he was blind. He had one fake eye. And he wasn't blind, but he probably had no business driving.
How did he lose his eye?
Diabetes, I think. Diabetes or cancer, one or the other. One or the other. But yeah,
my
I said,
my
I
grandfather
didn't
lost his eye running with scissors.
Oh, as you do.
Yeah,
Why was he running?
ran into a door with the scissors.
God.
He should go to school and teach people exactly what not to do with running with scissors.
Yeah, we were always forced, in art
This
class.
is what you could do.
But so I woke up, and this was days after the dream. This was the shortest length between the dream and the actual event. And I went and I stood there, and my dad had told my grandfather, but had not told me. And so he ruined the surprise, and my dad got really pissed off at him. But he was wearing the exact same thing. We were standing in the exact same formation. And notice, this was the first time my grandfather had ever been to my dad's house. And he said it, and my dad got so pissed off at him for ruining the surprise. But I was like, oh, I already knew about it. And he goes, how'd you know? I was like, because I had a dream, and then I told him where we were going, and he goes, how do you know that? I was like, because I had the dream about it.
Right.
And then my grandfather said, where else are you going besides this? And that's how the exact event played out. But I don't really Harrison has a theory about premonitions, and it's that you know how there's a theory that all of time is happening in a loop.
Yes.
And how it's all happening all at once. This is just how we perceive it. Essentially, he's saying, because I only ever have them when I'm asleep. And there's been very few times where I've been able to actually get them while awake, and it's altered state of consciousness sort of thing. I'll be focusing on something else, or I'll be drunk, or I'll be, you have to not be fully aware.
Yeah.
And his theory is that your mind jumps forward. Some people just have the ability to experience time differently, and jump forward and experience what's to come instead of what's happening right now. But that's his theory. But that's just a game
It's a
theory.
cool theory. I like it.
But I have no idea. But yeah, they it was creepy. And my dad did not like that I knew where we were going. He thought that that someone had told me or blabbed, and I was like, no, I just had this dream.
You're I just had a premonition, Dad. Don't worry about it. I'm just
Don't
psychic.
even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. But
No one told me. I'm just psychic. Don't stress.
The worst ghost story I have, or psychic story I have, is I was at this girl, my friend at the time, Courtney's party, and I had sat down in their lounge room, and I was a little bit buzzed. I'd only had two, because I was quite young back then. I was the age to drink, I was 18, and I had a vodka and orange juice. I had 2 big ones, and so I was a little bit tipsy, and I sat down on the couch, and she had 8 dogs, so I was just playing with the dogs, and nobody else was in the room with me. I was by myself because I was sitting in the lounge room, and everybody else was outside because I needed a break, and I saw this lady She was this older lady. She had blonde hair, and she was wearing like a full black. It was almost like a maxi dress with black tights. And she was wearing like black heels, and she walked from a bedroom all the way across into the kitchen, and then because there was a wall, I couldn't see her anymore. So she just walked across and then out. But she didn't acknowledge me. She didn't like do anything. She just walked. And Courtney, the person who was having the party, came in. She was like, I was like, oh, I thought you said we were alone tonight. Like no adults here. And she goes, there are no adults here. And I was like, I just saw like your mum. And she goes, my mum's in Sydney. You didn't see my mum. And so I thought, obviously, there's someone at the house that should not be in the house. And because I don't jump straight to ghost. And she was like, what'd she look like? And I was like, oh, she had like short blonde hair, and she had fair skin, kind of wrinkly, pretty tall, and she had like grayish blonde hair, and she was wearing black heels and a black skirt and like black tights. And Courtney, her face went like flushed white, like she instantly went pale, and she grabbed me and she took me into a bedroom, and a bedroom that was closed, and she took me in and she showed me this photo, and I was like, oh, that's her. Who's that? And she was like, that's my nan. She's been dead for 2 years.
Oh God.
And she started
That's
crying,
intense.
and I was like freaked out, obviously, and I left shortly after that.
Yeah.
But her nan, the bedroom that she had walked out, was her nan's room.
Oh my God.
Her nan's fucking bedroom.
Ooh.
Across into the kitchen.
She's like coming out. She's like, Courtney, you better not be having a fucking party in here.
But she was like supervising the party. And she walked across, and I like, it was just that I said it so nonchalantly, and I described her. And I saw her in the picture. I was like, yeah, that's her. Who is that? And then she was like, oh, that's my nan. She's been dead for 2 years. And I'm like, oh, I'm very
Ew.
sorry. Tip my hat. Good day to you.
I must adjourn. Goodbye.
Yeah, but like shit like that happens all the time. Like I saw my roommate Emily, her nan, the other day. She probably won't want me talking about it because it was quite emotional for her. But I saw her in our sunroom. Our house is not haunted, thank God. Our house is very like the energy is really good, and I sound like a hippie talking about it, but she like there's nothing here. I don't feel bad in the dark. I can like walk around and be very comfortable. Whereas like, you know, some houses, like you feel like you're being watched, and like you just don't feel good alone. You feel like it's not safe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it just like it had that sort of energy. And yeah, I just didn't really. Yeah, it was pretty intense. Do you have any spooky stories, Ashlyn, to wrap us up on?
I don't actually have that many. Like my mum has some, and I am the most like spiritual, witchy, like occulty person, and nothing's really happened to me ghost-wise, which is sad for me. But that's okay. I just get to hear all your guys' cool
Do you do
stories.
tarot?
I have tarot cards, but I have not. I need to really sit down and spend time with them and learn to read them, because it's one of those things I definitely want to do, but it's just making the time for that.
So my mum gave me her set and a book for it, so you can like see the definitions of the cards. And I made my own reading thing where you do 3, past, present, and future. And I did mine. I was on a date, and I was like, oh, do you want me to do your tarot? Because he's like super witchy, I'm super witchy. But he'd never done it before. So I sat down and I did it. And I was like, think of a question, and ask the question in your head. Don't say it out loud. And then I put down the cards, and it was, you're about to meet someone new, or you're meeting someone new. A man's about to come into your life, and you're about to start a relationship or like a sexual tryst. And it was like all about dating and relationships, and how it's going to be good but confusing. And then I was like, what was your question? He was like, how is this date going to go? I was like, that's pretty good. I like that. That's a good question.
Nice.
But like, yeah, tarot's
good
like
question.
tarot's like spooky sometimes. Like super, like sometimes it's like super off. But that's when people ask like super vague questions, like, what will I
What will I be?
What will I be? Who will I be? What can I be? It's like there's readings for that. There's readings for like huge, big in like context readings. Like the Celtic Cross one, that's like a huge. It tells you fucking everything. It tells you who you are, what you're gonna be, what you're gonna be, like in 3 days, what you're gonna be in 6 months. That's huge. That's the one you pay big money for. But yeah, she just didn't do the thing. So today's
Fetish of the week
is Tripsolania. It is the sexual arousal to having your hair shampooed, which is there's a killer. My Favorite Murder did this story about this killer in America who accidentally strangled a woman to death while doing. He really liked shampooing hair, and he was a bit weird, so he used to get prostitutes over to do it. And he one day he was like, I want to shampoo your hair. I'm going to pay you to do it, and let's do it for hours. So he was cleaning her hair, shampooing her hair for hours and hours and hours, to the point where she fell asleep. And when she woke up, she was tied up, and he had put a noose around her neck. And he was essentially shampooing her hair with all sorts of shit. He ran out of shampoo, so he started using food like cheese and margarine and cottage cheese and eggs and shit like that. And then she was trying to struggle. She was struggling to get away, and she hung herself. Yes.
Well, and he just didn't help her. He was like, this is where this night's going. I'm going to let it happen.
Yes.
There's an ad about
but I think she broke her
the
neck.
shampooing.
But yes.
With the noose.
Or she suffocated herself. But essentially his argument was, well, she wouldn't have died if she hadn't struggled. And it's like, well, she wouldn't have had to struggle if there wasn't a noose around her neck, you fucking freak.
Best argument ever. Love it.
But like, yeah, that's pretty innocent, I'd say.
So you must have been into some other stuff other than just
obviously
shampooing her head. Like,
so do we know how many people are into this fetish?
No.
We don't have the numbers.
We should really look that up.
I mean, who's going to, like...
yeah, that's true.
It wouldn't be accurate,
that's true.
would it?
That's true. It'd be self-reported at best.
Exactly, yeah. Pop your hand up.
Have you ever, like... I suppose we talked about sex in the shower last week.
It's a good segue into this one.
I can't see, like, massage. I could see how it'd be, like, a massage, like a scalp massage. I could see how that would work as relaxing, but I don't necessarily, like... I wouldn't get me all sexy. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends who's doing it too, right?
True.
Like, if it's a sexy,
Ryan
like,
Reynolds.
first date, like, you're in this shower. I mean, I don't know who does this on a first date.
Who shampoos their significant other?
I want you to do it to me all the time. What are you doing? You're not doing it right, clearly.
Well, you tell me I've got to use this shampoo. I can't just use a standard body wash.
Well, yeah, that doesn't work. You use body wash.
You know what you could do, though? You could get one of those wireless vibrators and just, like, put it inside you and then go to the salon. Instead of paying a prostitute, you could just, like,
First
go
off, can
and,
I
like...
just tune in here? Wireless vibrators? You mean there are vibrators that are wired? That you just plug them into the wall and like, run off the mains?
Most of them are
the
that.
Fuck kind of
most of them are that, Craig. Literally most of them. Massages
you
are all
plug them
wired.
into 240-volt power because you need that power draw.
Yes, that's a thing.
Crazy.
Most vibrators, up until now that they have the silicone ones, but the ones that are like heavy duty are all plugged into the mains. Like
the ones that you get at Bunnings in that tool place.
The ones that rub off your clit.
Fuck me.
But yeah, like Ash, you've definitely seen the plug-inable ones.
Yeah, but they're super old. Like, you don't...
Well, they're technically personal massagers that are plugged into the walls.
Yeah. They're the big, like, they're like this tall. You know, like, they're really big.
Yeah, but you can get, like, little bullet vibrator. I am telling people how to secretly masturbate in front of salon people, but
yes, exactly.
The little bullet vibrators, you can use those, like, discreetly. And you just like there's a little Bluetooth thing. I don't know how I feel about internal Bluetooth like things in your body and using Bluetooth, but anyway, they, yeah, you could just do that, and then just like as you're being shampooed, just like yes,
Crank it up to 11. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I feel like they're quite loud though, so you're not going to be able to
Yeah, but
hide
it's
that.
inside you. Like you put it all the way in, obviously.
Yeah, I guess.
Like
so.
if it's one of those bullet ones, they'll be like, "Oh, are you having like are you okay?" And it's like, "Yeah, just like I'm just hungry. It's just my stomach rumbling."
The whole chair is shaking. They're like, "Oh, this is weird."
You're like, ha ha ha.
They'll be checking their phone every couple of minutes. They'll be like,
Exactly,
"What's that
exactly.
My
vibration?"
phone's sorry.
like-
My phone's just on vibrate. Someone's trying to call me constantly.
I think someone's calling me, but my phone's not showing it. Like that's so weird. Oh my god, that's crazy.
Crazy.
But yes, I think we will wait for V to get back to talk about Lizzie McGuire because that was her favourite show as a kid.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, that wraps it
she'll
up for
be,
this week.
Hopefully she'll be back with us next week and she'll be feeling a bit better. But
Yeah.
thank you, Craig, for coming on the show
Exactly.
and hanging
No
out.
worries, guys.
And then
It was good fun.
you'll be able to replace us whenever one of us has to tap out. You're a very useful sub.
Craig's like, thanks so much. I'm like, second choice. Thanks, guys.
Guys.
Exactly. Well, no, you and Holmes should start another podcast, and it should be called like Politically Incorrect, and just hateful
How do
spew
you know
all
we're
the
not
time.
correct?
Well,
We spend enough time with you guys.
well. Or you could be like Broken Snowflakes. That could work. But yeah, that'll be it for this
Broken
week. If you would like, you can subscribe, and yeah, leave a rating. We're not on iTunes because we don't support Apple. It's not because we couldn't be bothered doing it. But yeah, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, everywhere. Follow us on the Facebook page. We post memes now. It's pretty good. We're very socialist, so if you don't like snowflake shit, just fuck off. I mean, you did just listen to 20 minutes about me talking about how I'm a psychic witch. So I mean, like, maybe fuck off.
I think after episode 1, they probably realised that now.
They're like, no thanks. So we will be back next Monday and every Monday after that. So get used to it, bitch.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.